Hey, this is Caden with the Mountain Landers, and I'm finally doing the most requested video that I have, which is a walkthrough of my 2001 Ford Excursion, which I lovingly refer to as Big Ugly. I first bought this vehicle in 2020, so I've had it almost 5 years, and I paid $3,200 for it. Maybe I'll throw up a couple of pictures of the condition when I bought it. It was bone stock, super ugly, mismatched door handles, mismatched tires. It was just it was not well put together, but it was a great spot to start from because the guy I bought it from had kept really good care of it mechanically. And so it was a good platform to start with. Now, when I first bought this, it had about 160,000 miles. Like I said, in good shape mechanically. It's a V10, which is not known for fuel mileage and also not known for being super fast or very cool, but it is very reliable. It has about 300 horsepower and about 400 pound-feet of torque, at least when it was brand new. This now has about 225,000 miles on it, so just getting broken in. But it's been very good to me. I figure maybe I will start with the front, move my way to the back with the exterior, and then we can move inside. So one of the first upgrades I did was front and rear bumpers. Part of that was I wanted to carry a spare tire, and part of it was just protection. I actually hit a deer in this with my stock bumper and bent it in. Wasn't a big deal, but I live in a pretty wildlife dense area, and so having bumpers is nice to just protect everything. So this is a road armor bumper out of Texas. Same with the back, also a road armor bumper. It's been pretty good. I have a couple issues with the powder coat, but it's a good steel bumper, very solid. I had the Icon lift done. This is a 5-inch Icon F250 lift. So when you use an F250 lift on an Excursion, you actually net about 2 inches of additional lift. I did not realize that this was an F250 lift. I thought this was a specific Excursion lift. So when I did the Icon lift, I actually netted 7 inches. I was really trying to keep the lift as minimal as possible because it's already a big vehicle and I didn't want it to be any higher than it had to be. So, these 37s that are on it, these are 37 1250 17s. These are Ridge grapplers on 17-inch Pro Comp wheels. I love the wheels. They're super simple. They were cheap. They're not fancy by any means, but I just love the modular look, and there's not a whole lot of modular wheels out there. Anyway, the 37s I bought when I originally had planned on doing this, they to me look almost a little bit small. So I think when these wear out, they're probably 60% tread. When these wear out, I think I will do 40s. One of the other upgrades I started with is I did the tow mirrors. This had the, in my opinion, ugly stock mirrors on them, and they just weren't very useful. And so I put the tow mirrors on it, very cheap, $120 or $150 upgrade that made a world of difference. I've really enjoyed those, and especially where I tow trailers. I have a toy hauler an enclosed trailer that I tow with my side-by-side in it. I've got a dump trailer that I occasionally tow. I've had camp trailers that we've towed, and so having tow mirrors I think they look better and they work better. So that's a great combo. So there are going to be people who make fun of me for this. The grill. This is a Raptor, wannabe grill. Out of all the options, which weren't many, this was my favorite. I am a Raptor fan, so take that for whatever it's worth. All of my lights on the entire vehicle are KC. So I've got some KC fog lights on the front, some KC spotlights. I've got KC ditch lights, and then the KC Pro 8 light bar. Now, also in the front, I've got a Smittybilt X20. It's a 17.5K winch. It's got the steel cable. I wish it had synthetic. It's a lot lighter, but the steel cable is fine. It's nice and strong, and I haven't had any issues with it. This is the winch has come in handy multiple times. It's a great asset to have, and it's one of those things you don't need it until you really need it. I had a lot of work done to the axles. When I first bought it, the rear axle was starting to make a little bit of noise, and it just got a little bit worse as the years went on. So last year I had both axles completely gone through, master rebuild kits done on each. I had Airby air lockers installed front and rear with an Airby twin compressor that's on the interior. I'll show you that when we get there. And then I re-geared it. That's one thing, if you're gonna do some of these mods to your rig, bigger tires, lifts, re-gearing goes a long way. This actually had upgraded gears from the factory. This had the tow package, so it had 430 gears from the factory, which was not that bad, which was pretty good. Most of these stock have 373s, so 430s were good. But when I lifted it and did the tires, I changed the gears to Nitro 513 gears, and it made a world of difference. This is only a 4-speed transmission, and so you need every bit of every gear that you can get. And so that really brought back my overdrive. I'm actually able to use my overdrive now, especially when I tow, which I do a fair amount of towing. Now I'm pretty happy with the lift overall. It's got the Icon shocks. I think if I were gonna do it again, I would do a different lift. But again, I'm pretty happy with it. The rear passenger side shock failed after the first maybe 5,000 miles. And so that was a little, I didn't like that very much. They did warranty it. Icon fully warrantied it. But you just wouldn't expect that. But it rides, you know, for being as heavy as it is and as big a vehicle as it is, it actually rides pretty smooth. If you compare this to like my work trucks that are 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks, this rides significantly better than them, and it should. All right, so let's talk about 2 of the upgrades that I've done that I get more comments on and questions about than anything else. The first would be the sliders that I designed these, had them custom. Well, I custom built them with a friend. Caleb, if you're watching, you're a stud. I have a buddy, a good friend, who is really good at fabrication, has done it a long time, and he's a very talented guy. And so him and I worked together. We built the sliders. Now they're not a true rock slider. These are not frame mounted. I didn't want to mess with that and all that entailed. So it's not like you'd want to just thrash these, but they are sturdy. They're strong. They're made out of steel. They tuck up nice and tight. I definitely wanted a slim profile. I didn't want anything big and beefy. I wanted to look pretty streamlined. So that was one of the first things we did. The second, and this is probably the most popular thing that I've done that people always talk about, is the roof rack. So I designed this roof rack, and again, me and my buddy built it together. It is the full length of the vehicle, which a lot of the ones you find that people make, as far as different companies, they are not full length. They're maybe 3/4. And the reason for that is from the factory, there are no mounting points in the front. And so when I built this, one of my goals with building the roof rack had to be full length. I believe it's 60 inches wide and like 10 feet long. So it is a big rack. And I wanted we almost designed it around the KC Pro 8 light bar. The light bar fits perfectly in between there. It's mounted, tons of light. It's really fun bombing through the desert or the mountains even in the dark with that light on, because you can just see everything. You can see I have a box up here. The box has all of my recovery equipment. It's a little bit cumbersome to get up there because I always keep it locked on both sides. And so when I do need it, it is a little cumbersome because I have to unlock it, get up there. But it's not like I use it every day. This is my daily driver. I drive it to work every day. I have about a 30-mile round trip commute every day to work. And so I use my recovery equipment all the time on trips, but not during the week. And so it's nice to keep it all up there. It's always ready, it's stowed away, and it's ready to go. Now, another really important part when I designed the roof rack was I knew I wanted a rooftop tent. This was a bit of a splurge. This is the CVT mount hood. It ran about $5 grand all told with the freight, tax, install, everything. I had it installed from the same shop that did the lift. Been super happy with it. It's definitely a guilty pleasure, but it is so nice to be able to set up my tent in like 30 seconds. All of my bedding is in there, my pillows, everything. You have to be kind of smart with the way you do it, but if you do it right, you don't have to set up anything when it's time to camp. You put it up, you put a couple poles in, you're ready. When it's time to go home, it takes you maybe 2 minutes to put it away. So definitely guilty pleasure. It was expensive. I have never regretted it. I use it often. Every time I go camping, I use it. And it's been really good. It's held up really well. Very happy with it. Okay, so moving all the way to the back. This is my Road Armor swing out tire carrier rear bumper. Same as the front, I've been happy with it. It's definitely heavy duty. It's held up well. My only complaint again is the powder coat has come off in places, even from the get-go. Just seemed like it broke off way too easy. But in general, I'm happy with it. I love that I have a full-size spare and I don't have to carry it inside. It is a little cumbersome to have to swing this out every time, but it works really well, and it's, you know, efficient in terms of the way I use the space inside the vehicle. One of the other things I surprisingly get a lot of comments on are the axe and the shovel here at the rear. It does fit, it closes fine. These are just like tube mounts, and so you can simply pull these off, pull it out. My goal when I did this was I did not want to stick these all the way up on the roof rack. I didn't want to have something heavy up high that could get stolen super easy, or that could potentially get hit by a tree or something. I wanted something easy to get to, because I use these all the time. Every time I go camping, I'm using both of these tools. And so I just wanted them easy to get to. So I get made fun of sometimes because my drop hitch is huge. It's a 12-inch drop hitch. It does look a little ridiculous, but it is what I need when I haul trailers. I don't always keep this on there. I held a trailer last weekend, hauled a dump trailer. So anyway, I just left that on there. I do have, two KC reverse lights. When I put it in reverse, these come on, as well as I have the KC chase light up top. So it has a couple different settings, but one of them is when I put it in reverse, the light up there also kicks on. So before we move to the interior, a couple more mods to talk about on the exterior. When I had the axles redone, I got new diff covers front and rear. I believe they were Revolution. They were not. I could not find a ton of options, especially for the Dana 50, so these were the only two I could find that matched. They're pretty plain, but I did have them powder coated Illusion Cherry. Most of this vehicle is pretty subdued. For whatever reason, on the diff covers, I wanted them to stand out a little bit, and I think they look pretty cool. Another would be, this will kind of lead us into the interior build, the auxiliary power system. I have a full power system built out. I've got 300 watts of solar on the roof. That's one way to charge my battery. The other is I have shore power, so the shore power connection. I can just plug this into an extension cord when I'm at my house before a trip, or if I'm on a trip somewhere that has the ability, I can plug that in. I can plug it in with the spare tire closed or open. So that's another way. And then the third is underneath the hood, and maybe I'll go up there and talk about that in a minute. But I had the third form of power input to my auxiliary power system is I had a DC to DC charger installed. With that, I also did a high output alternator. Been very happy with that. Also had it powder coated Illusion Cherry, just for it to stand out a little bit in the engine bay, because the engine bay is pretty vanilla. There's not a whole lot going on in there, just because it's a V10, and what are you gonna do? Come on. So underneath the hood, now there's only so much you can do with a V10, so I haven't bothered with a bunch of like power upgrades or things like that, because there's really not much out there, and I think it's kind of fighting a losing battle on that one. I've left the stock intake. I think the stock intake is fine. I don't see the need for cold air intake. This one actually keeps out a lot of the dust, and it feeds the engine enough air, so I think it's fine. So now you can see there are quite a few different electrical upgrades underneath here. The first was this high output alternator. The alternator was from JS Alternators. Great product, works like a charm. I did have to do a lot of the wiring. I have put a lot of time and effort into the wiring on this vehicle, tried to do a good job with it, learned a lot in the process. Now I did have a boo-boo a couple years ago. I had some problems. Long story short, was hauling a trailer through a very difficult towing area, a lot of uphill. I'm in the mountains of Utah, and so I burned up my transmission. I would not say it was the transmission's fault. It was definitely me. I was pushing it, didn't give it a chance to breathe and take a break, and ended up burning it up. So I went through that whole process. I had a high power transmission built. This thing does not need high power. I just wanted it to be heavy duty. So it's got a billet torque converter. It's got all the heavy duty internals. I'm not a transmission guy, so I don't know all the technical jargon, but it's a good transmission. I've had a couple issues with it since, which I don't know if I'll mention or talk about really, but for right now, the transmission's working great. When I had the transmission done, I was counseled by my mechanic that I really should redo the cooling system at that time. And so what I did is I had Mishimoto radiator installed, a Mishimoto coolant reservoir installed, and we also did a Mishimoto transmission cooler. The transmission coolers on these Excursions, the V10s and even the 7.3s, were tiny, really small. And so I had this much larger one installed. This is technically for a 6.0 Ford diesel, but it bolts right in, works great, has made a big difference. I also installed a transmission gauge on the interior, and so now I can actually see how hot or cool it is. And that has definitely helped me keep it safe and keep it from blowing up again. I had an Interstate battery in it when I first bought it. It lasted about 5 years, which I think is pretty respectable. When I needed a new battery, I bought the Odyssey Extreme. I had heard that for high performance builds, when you not want a nice battery, this is the one to do. So that's what I did. I'm not going to talk too much about the electrical stuff under here. Part of this is for the DC to DC charger. That goes with that also comes from the 300 watts of solar. There's actually, I can solar charge my main battery as well, which has been super nice. Like when I'm gone on long trips and I come home and I need to go start this, it always starts. Whereas previous to my solar panels, that wasn't always the case. And so that's been one of the big benefits that I did not think was going to be a big deal, has actually been very helpful. So that's what part of these breakers are over here. You got a fuse. Yeah, needless to say, there's not a whole lot going on underneath the hood here. Now let's get into a little more on the interior part of the build. I have not done as much on the interior, but two of the things I'm very proud of. First is this rear storage area. I've had a couple different systems back here. This is my kind of third major system. So it's kind of the culmination of everything I've learned about what I want. Now I designed this whole thing in AutoCAD, built it myself, taught myself to weld by building this. And so it's been a lot of fun, been a lot of effort, been a lot of fun, and kind of came out exactly what I wanted. So it has this main slide on the bottom. These are 500-pound slides. They lock in. Now I'm pretty deep into the Milwaukee pack-out system, and so I have tons of different kinds of these boxes. And the nice thing is they're totally modular. You can pop this in, pop it out. If I'm going on a camping trip, I can grab a couple of my camping pack-out boxes, put them in here. Like just yesterday, I worked on some low voltage electrical stuff on a motorcycle, and so I needed all of my electrical equipment, so put all my electrical equipment in here. This box usually lives in here because this is my toolkit for working on the truck, and so that stuff kind of lives in here for the most part. But yeah, it's very modular. Now some people will say it's not as efficient, and they're right. Like it does kind of pigeonhole you in some ways. Like you can fit more stuff if you're less organized, but I've been down that route, and it was like everything was always just thrown in the back. It was all over on top of each other. It was rolling around as you're driving. I got tired of it, which is why I designed this, and it's worked very good. Like I said, this is exactly what I wanted, and it was a culmination of several years worth of research and effort and different systems, and so I'm very happy with how this has come out. So on the second level, this is kind of a thinner drawer. So this would be more for thin stuff. Mainly I have this for my ladder for the tent. This ladder always used to just be kicking around in the back. It was always in the way. I just hated how it was just always flopping around in there. So now it always has a home. This is the place where it goes every single time. It's always ready in here. It's never just missing out of the vehicle when I need it. And then you also have room for, if you want to put other stuff in here, you can. And everything has tie downs. I've got some of these Stratchets from Front Runner. Work great, great product. And then the last part of this rear storage is the top. Now again, you can see more tie downs, more stratchets. My intention with the top was kind of a catch-all for all the gear you would need for a trip. Now this bag does live up here permanently. This is, I call it my get home bag. So that's the bag I just have a bunch of like granola bars, water bottles, extra pair of shoes, thermals, that kind of stuff that if I'm ever in a bad spot, that bag is gonna make me more comfortable and get me to where I need to go. This bag just has some extra recovery gear. This is where I put like my clothes and hygiene stuff. When I'm leaving on a trip, this is where my buddies, when they ride with me, this is where we put their gear. It's nice, it's stowed away, it's pretty efficient. It's up out of the way, it's not flopping around on the back, it's not all stacked on top of each other. You know where it is and it stays there. One of the other parts about the rear storage is the barn doors. Now on this side, this is kind of where I have some of my power distribution. This is my shore charger, so you can see my main battery is here. So I can plug into the shore charger and with an extension cord from a campsite, from at home. Usually I'll charge my stuff before I leave on a trip. That's what does that. I have a big extension cord in here, so if I'm out on a trip somewhere and I need to charge and we stop by somebody's house or something overnight, you can use that to charge. Now for the other side of this, this is part of my air system. So this has the Morflate 4-way, so I can plug this into each of my tires. I use it to both inflate and deflate. I can deflate everything at the same rate, at the same pressure, at the same time. And then same thing with that when I go to inflate. Plug into all 4 tires, air them all up at the same time. I've got the ARB twin compressor over here that airs up everything really well. So this is just kind of where I keep my little cubby. I keep just different air fittings, different air lines for when I air up and air down. So one of the other things I'm really proud of with this system that I have a lot of time, effort, and money into is the auxiliary power system. And it's back here. It's a little hard to see because of the rear storage. I built the auxiliary electrical system on its own before I did the rear storage, and so it's kind of tucked in here out of the way. This is the rear control panel. This actually has the air chuck input for the air system. This is where I plug into the air system. I've got a 12-volt barrel plug. Got some different power options here and a voltage meter, and then I've got the VolSwitch rear control panel. So this does things like I can control my Wii boost from back here. There are auxiliary lighting that I can control from back here. I can actually control my lockers from back here if I want, my air compressor. That can all be done from right here. Now the auxiliary power system is powered by a 200 amp hour lithium battery. I went with lithium because you basically get double the capacity. So a 200 amp hour lithium would be similar to like a 400 amp hour AGM system, just because you really are not supposed to deplete an AGM system below about 50%, and I've heard even 60%. So with the lithium, you can pretty much go top to bottom. And so it's more efficient. You're getting more for the space you're using, and it's fairly tight back here. I kind of have things tucked away, and so I wanted a lithium system, and it lives on the interior, so it's not on the outside, so it doesn't really get very cold. For the most part, it stays fairly warm, which is important with lithium because it won't charge and sometimes won't even discharge if it's too cold. So I'll go into a little more detail, maybe in a separate video, but my auxiliary power system is pretty robust. Got a 1,000-watt inverter. I know there's a lot of people out there that have 2,000 or 3,000-watt inverters, but I'm not running a flipping microwave. Like, I just need simple stuff. I need to charge my electronics. Different things I want to use, charge my laptop so I can offload footage on a trip, things like that, charge my phone. I really didn't need a whole lot. And for a lot of that charging, I can actually do it from the 12-volt system, so it doesn't have to convert it through the inverter. I've got my VolSwitch system back here. I've got different breakers, that DC to DC charger. The Wii Boost is housed back here. Kind of the overall auxiliary power system. So if you want to hear more about that in a separate dedicated video, let me know. But yeah, it's literally hundreds of hours of research and effort, thousands of dollars into that auxiliary power system. And I'm very happy with it. I think it works well. It does everything I need. No maintenance really, it just works. Okay, on the interior side of things, this is kind of the cockpit area. Just what you'd expect on a 24-year-old vehicle, except for the center console that I built. So this is something that I've designed myself and built. It's nothing, you know, crazy fancy or anything, but it's got aluminum sides, steel top, so the top is magnetic. I haven't had it powder coated yet because it's still in development. This is actually my third version of it, third prototype, I guess you could say. You can see kind of the centerpiece is the iPad. So that's kind of what I use for navigation. I use Gaia to navigate on all my trips. That's how I plan my trips out. That's how I navigate while I'm on my trip. That's how I track the trips. I've got a phone charger for the driver, phone charger for the passenger. We've got voltmeter, transmission temperature gauge, 50 watt Midland radio, GMRS. I've got a couple different full switch control panels for, one is for the lights on the vehicle, which are through the house battery system. Then there is the other switch panel that goes to the auxiliary power system. I have a Renogy, I think it's something core, Renogy 1 core, I think. I am not a big fan, does not work great. Yeah, just don't love it. And then the Renogy inverter remote, which actually is pretty handy. A couple cup holders, very deep, nice ones. This is my Garmin. I actually have not even used it yet, just purchased that fairly recently. On this side, I have, that is a mount for my camera, so I can mount my camera and keep it from hopping all around. And then on this side, yeah, it's kind of hard to get in there, but that is my Tow Pro Elite from Red Arc. That's my brake controller. And then I have kind of the top piece up here, which I just lost the knob for a second ago, so that's cool. Yeah, you can see my seats are in desperate need of replacement. I was trying to do some of the more important mods first before I got to the interior build, and so I think I'm just about there and getting ready to get after it on the interior. Passenger side view of the center console. So this is just where some power cords run through. It's just a grommet, and then there again is the camera mount. It's got a quick release on it. Couple cup holders on the back. There's also some charging ports in the back. All right, so here's the interior on the back. I have the seats folded down. This is how I generally keep it, it's just like this. I built this platform, so it gives a good spot for my Iceco VL60 to sit. This is a dual zone fridge, freezer, so you can see I kind of have both of them set to similar temperature. Not really freezing, just really cold for drinks. Now, a lot of times I do have the seats up when I need them. You can use them, of course. I obviously took out the rear third seat, but not a whole lot going on the back seat. So here's the passenger side rear seat. This is one of the probably most important uses I have for my auxiliary power system, is all my camera gear. So on my camera box here, I actually have basically a shore charger that goes in and powers a charger that powers all my camera gear. So my drone can charge, all my camera batteries, my GoPro batteries, everything. And this just runs over to the inverter. So whenever I want it to be charging stuff, I just turn on my inverter with the remote, and it can be charging as we're driving on a trip. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and the build. Again, this has been the most requested video I've ever had everything to do with this vehicle. So I hope this has been fun for you. Hopefully I answered some common questions and kind of could show you behind the scenes on how this all came together and what all I've done to it. If you have additional questions, ask them in the comments. If I get enough questions about a certain topic, maybe I'll make another video going in more depth if I need to, or if you guys want it. But again, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. If you liked this, consider subscribing. I don't make a ton of videos. I'm not one of those like daily, weekly, monthly guys. I'm like once or twice a year, but I try to make high quality videos. So when I do make a video, hopefully it's entertaining and you see some pretty country. So thanks again. See you in the next one.